My name's Faye and I volunteer in sort of 2 different charities, doing 3 different roles. One of the first ones is I work for a drugs agency in Keighley, and I'm on their board of trustees. So that really, for that, it's more about sort of getting together on a monthly basis and we chat about the organisation and where they're going. And that for me is really interesting because I get to see sort of another organisation, another charitable organisation working and almost have, you know, some influence on that in some way. And then the other things I volunteer for is more sort of a personal thing. I live in Bramley and Leeds, and there's an organisation called Bramley Elderly Action, and I work for them. I work in the charity shop on a Saturday. Did that purely because they needed people. And then the other thing I do is on a Thursday night, I do like a reminiscence group with the older people, which is where we might talk about 1941, or we might talk about the weddings, and people bring the wedding dresses in, and it's really, that is to do with, really it's got its essences in dementia and things like that. So it's really to try and get people to, if they can't remember today, they might be able to remember tomorrow and have a little bit of enjoyment. Well, the board, which is, as I say, it's a drug agency in Keighley, that was done probably more for a professional reason. As a project manager now, it's quite interesting to see how other organisations work. And the board I'm on, it's quite a small organisation in a small sort of rurally sort of area, so it's very different to the company I work for. But it is good for your CV. That was probably my first reasons for it. And also I am quite nosy and I like to know what's going on. And it's interesting, there's been a couple of things where we've actually been able to work together as organisations through me knowing people on that board. So really that sort of stuff is to do with sort of connections at work and trying to build bigger and better partnerships for both organisations involved. And the Bramley LD Action stuff, I did that purely, I used to be a sport worker and I've been a manager for about 6 years, and I just really miss working one-on-one with people. So I went really to them to do some befriending stuff with them, sort of, visit people in their homes. And they didn't really need that, and they said just with sort of the skills I had in terms of group work, they just wanted if I could run that group for them. So I really enjoy that, and so although it's in a group of people, it's a regular group, so it's about 10 people, it's just really nice getting to know the individual members who go there, and they're from my local community, so now I see them when I'm in the shop, and it's just really nice to have a chat with them. And then the shop side of it, I really enjoy that. I didn't think I would, I just did it to help them out, but I really like just having, you have a good natter with the local people, get a few bargains from the charity shop, and yeah, it's just nice, I like it, and it just gives you a really nice sort of sense of well-being, I suppose, for for not trying to sound cheesy, but it does, it's quite nice to give something back. Maybe I'm biased in terms of I work for a charity now, so maybe I just see it's almost as something that I should always do. It's something I've always, in a past life I was volunteering elsewhere, I've always done something of that ilk. And I think, I started my career really volunteering for the probation service, and that's how I got into this line of work. So it's sort of fundamental really to my thinking, and why, I think you can get extra opportunities, you can do things you'd never normally do. On the board I'm on now, I sit on the finance subgroup, which I hate finance, I hate figures, but actually, that helps me learn, but in an environment, not in my paid employment, I can actually learn that and gain the skills without that sort of pressure that you should know how to do that. So personally, that's a really positive thing for me. But I think everybody should take their turn in volunteering, because you just get a different aspect on how the world is and how it all operates really. And actually in charitable boards we need people like that. Because often you'll get people like me who do work for the charities, but really we need people who are lawyers, who are accountants, because they have the skills to enable to get the books to balance at the end of the month. We're all trying to find our way through it as best we can and using the knowledge and skills we have, but we're not experts. So certainly the one I'm sitting at the moment, we're always looking for more people. And it can be difficult. I know they advertise for board members, but it's difficult to get that sort of, for want of a better word, professional people in, people who have got nothing to do with the charitable sector at all. And I don't really know how you can change that, other than sort of doing open days or just approaching people. But it can be quite hard.